I need a break. All right, let's keep going. There's more. So I got this article from The Gamer. So this is really important because this is literally it's people will say this is what happened in 2014, like in the past tense. Like there was a period between then and now where this wasn't happening, and that's just not true. Like this has never ended. It's just that now that this sweet baby thing has broke and people see what these communists are prepared to do, they're actually going to respond to it. But the truth is, they never left. This never changed. They were just, now they're just feeling like more emboldened to tell us what they really think, and that they hate us, and they hate us, and that's it. Like you can say this isn't political, but I would wager that I can promise you it is, because they just hate their audience, and that could be a political position, I suppose. So anyway, this is from The Gamer. It is another one of these damage control articles. Diversity is not your enemy in a live service world. No one, like shit. Nobody said I'll take for $500, Alex. Like no one ever says that. But of course, these people, there seems to be an issue with people being disconnected from reality. Like I think that honestly, the bubble that these games journalists, game developers, and other organizations, Sweet Baby Inc., academics, intellectuals, media figures, influencers, whatever, they live in a world that literally like protects them from everything. And so they have these assumptions about people that live in the real world. Like they have assumptions about the people who put food on the shelves in the Whole Foods that they go to, or the whatever like range free pasture raised animal they're consuming, or vegan product. Like they think it just comes from nowhere. Like there aren't men driving trucks like all day and all night. That there aren't men and women working the fields. That there aren't like you know people keeping the lights on, that keep the water running, that keep the internet running, that protect us, from criminals, that whatever, right? Just people in every sphere that work invisibly behind the scenes doing shit. And those people sometimes they just want to come home and they want to blow off some steam and watch some TV or a movie or play some video games, and they can't, because everywhere they turn, the people who they do their hard work for tells them that they're pieces of shit. And that's why this is like so frustrating and annoying, because these people do not live in reality. And of course, they live in a bubble, and they also know exactly what these plebs actually think. Like they know what people think. So when they say diversity is not your enemy in a live service world, they are saying we know that you think diversity is your enemy, which is it's made up. And by the way, if you want to know, when they say the word diversity, it doesn't mean what they say it means. It doesn't mean what you think it means to them. Like they are lying to you, and they have a different view of the world. And if you want to understand more about that, watch the last video I uploaded earlier today, where I can point you to a website called New Discourses, and there is a well, you could say it's an encyclopedia of the woke, but it tells you every single social justice, critical Marxist, communist term, and it tells you how they define it, what you might think, or what normal people think it means, and then what it really means when these people use it. This way, you will be prepared for when you come across these things, because they're really their whole thing is rhetoric, and rhetoric is just like the art of essentially like bamboozling you with words. And it doesn't mean anything, because their actions are actually what matters, and their values and their principles most of all. But anyway, let's get into this article. Studios aren't forced to add diversity. They're forced to add battle passes and endless grind, leading to worse games and cheap demographic appeal. Okay, so already out the gate, they're saying that if you are against Sweet Baby Inc., you are for battle passes and endless grind. So, you can't like have a problem with both of those things. But the difference is, before I even get into this article, okay? Do you know what the difference is between like forcing diversity into games and people not liking that, and like battle passes and season passes and like endless grind. You know what the difference is? Is that when somebody says I don't like the endless grind, they can just not buy the game, and the company does not call them bigots for it, does not shame them, does not try to get their Steam page taken down, does not try to destroy their Discord server, right? EA and Activision, you can say that they're like money hungry pieces of shit for what they do to their games, but they don't attack their audience. You can just choose not to pay for the services. You can just choose with your money not to do it. In before, by the way, this company says this is the fault of like what do they say? The late stage capitalism, which is all bullshit talk anyway. But anyway, and you can tell this is about Sweet Baby, even though it's not in the title, because here it is right there, Sweet Baby, in a picture of some of the work that these people have done. If this is the first time you're hearing about Sweet Baby Inc., congratulations on your well-curated internet experience. Again, you shouldn't be, what? Like, you shouldn't know who's behind the games that suck? Like, you shouldn't know about that? Mine is clearly in dire need of pruning, as it is all I have heard about this week. I want to dive a little into the facts of the issue, but I also think it's important to address the underlying problems they have unearthed and the occasionally justified cause of this outrage. So they're giving us like a bone, they're throwing a bone, but I don't think they're actually gonna, they're not really gonna take our side. I would obviously not expect the journalists to do that. The journalism is like one of the worst professions. I hope you guys understand that. If you dream of being a journalist one day, please don't go to school for it. Just like use your phone as a camera and like write about things and just try not to lie. That's all I would say. In short, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative consultancy firm. This means if developers are stuck on a narrative hitch, they can call in outside experts to help. It might be that a character feels dull, or that there's no reason provided in the story for why they do a thing that they definitely need to do for the script to make sense. These firms help with the character writing and overall plot, but they might also help with world building elements as well. It's funny. We've been able to manage telling stories for thousands of years without a consultancy firm. I wonder why that is. Like, how many consultants did Roald Dahl have when he like wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? How many consultants did J.R.R. Tolkien have when he wrote The Hobbit? How many consultants did Heinlein have when he wrote Starship Troopers? Oh, you don't like any of those authors, do you? How many consultants does Shakespeare have? You don't like those. They're just old white guys. What am I talking about? Never mind. Let's move on. Diverse people and like in large crowds make for, I guess, better stories. This firm might be brought in near the start when the story is just scraps of paper pinned on a cork board, or they might arrive late in the day when most of the game is set in stone, but the actors are yet to record their lines, or any time in between. What is most crucial is that they make suggestions. They don't take over development and throw out what the devs want in favor of their own agenda. They are asked, how do we make this better? And they respond, what about this? What about the part where they literally terrify people into essentially like submitting to their will to give them what they want? What about when Anita Sarkeesian threatened CD Projekt Red with internet hostilities if they didn't make some changes or hire her on as a consultant for The Witcher and Cyberpunk, although Cyberpunk doesn't need it, in my opinion. Does that not matter? What about these people like overtly and blatantly hating their audience or the audience that they claim to serve? Does that, like, shouldn't we know about that? I mean, like, why isn't this stuff obvious to anybody else? That like when you make a product of any kind, you want to make a product that the customers want to buy. And hopefully you succeed at that. Sometimes you falter, you make mistakes, sometimes you overreach. This is what things like downloadable content there can be a discussion about what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. Some people take a hard line stance on it, you know? Some people are pretty open to it, but nobody gets called a bigot for their tastes. Nobody has said they're a bad person, you know? Personally speaking, I'm not sure how I feel about all this. It feels a little too close to design by committee for my liking, moving away from video games being the result of the artistic efforts of a specific few who share a vision into an amorphous team of 1,000, each applying a single brushstroke to an overall painting. I mean, you know, it sounds like you want to be a writer, but I don't care about your flowery crap. Like, just get to the point. Who hires these people? I mean, like, yeah, by committee ends up like just bad storytelling. But like, if you listen to like Mike Rowe, who you guys might know from Dirty Jobs, he has said that. Like, if you have, you know, like, if you had a committee of people writing Schindler's List, there'd be a talking dog in it. Anyway, however, I am aware that modern day games require the work of thousands, and have enjoyed many games with the assistance of narrative consultants, and some specifically with Sweet Baby Inc. On an academic level, I am curious as to what weird and wonderful results we get without their safety net. In reality, I know that they have made my favorite games and characters more enjoyable, relatable, memorable, all the ables, and it's difficult to begrudge this. So, okay, so you're a narcissist that needs to see yourself in everything, and Sweet Baby Inc. scratches your narcissism like rash that apparently you've been wearing down for years and years. Do I believe that Sweet Baby Inc. has made some good narrative choices? I don't know. I haven't played. I don't think I've played many, if any, of their games. I'm just going by what other people have said. That does not make me a hypocrite, because I know where this comes from, and what I have an issue with is not Sweet Baby Inc. creating content or helping developers with stories. What I take issue with is customers making conscious decisions about what to do with their own property, and they want to be informed. Like, let's change the subject for a second. So, this is why, one of the reasons why I have a concern about this. You might be aware in the United States, and I don't know if your countries have this as well, but I'm assuming that this is kind of normal. In the United States, we have the FDA approved food pyramid. Now, this is coming from our government, and it is saying, you know, like, the food pyramid tells you what foods to prioritize, or what food, like foods that operate in a hierarchy, okay? And what it suggests that you are supposed to eat the most of is grains, and like that is followed by fruits and vegetables, and then I believe it's like, you know, cheeses, and then meats, and then sugar. But this is a misleading data. Non-government approved data has shown that meat is good for you, in red meat in particular, but we're told it's not. Now, what does this mean? Well, companies are using these suggestions and a sort of like misinformed, low information public to sell boxes and boxes and boxes of sugary cereal. And they will put things on the boxes like, this is good for your heart, this is low fat, this is, you know, no trans fats, and all that stuff, okay? So corporations like Kellogg's will use these suggestions from the state to influence customers to buy their products. And it's all bad information. So when Sweet Baby Inc., essentially, they are pushing out a food pyramid of woke identity politics into their games. I don't know if this is like a good analogy. Just something I came up with at the top of my head. I'm just saying, you get bad information from the state, or from some expert, a trusted source, and then people use that information to try to use, you know, to get stuff out of you. And who's to say that the vegan lobby wouldn't, you know, also try to push veganism through gaming, which will probably make you sick and kill you, right? Unless, of course, you have a special, you know, metabolism, and that means that you can't participate. But like, if you're a special case, you're a special case, right? at the end of the day, like I said before, it comes down to customer choice. So if you like Sweet Baby Inc. stories, go to town. I don't care. But it would be nice if you weren't taking franchises that were already established and loved by a specific fan base that invested in it and you tried to change their stories. Because that's what you're doing. I will say Alan Wake 2, which is shown here. And Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Just two examples. Spider-Man 2, right? Developers only add diversity when they want to. Recently, Sweet Baby Inc. has become public enemy number one, at least for extremely hardcore gamers in specific conflict-driven echo chambers. Ironic. No, no, no. That's not. None of that's true. Public enemy number one. Yeah, okay. For gamers, I don't necessarily think extremely hardcore gamers. There's a suggestion that there's something unhealthy or toxic about that label that you are trying to apply. They have been adjudged. What? They have been adjudged as the principal reason gaming is woke these days. No, they are an example, and gaming is woke, culminating in an extension being made for Steam that highlights Sweet Baby Inc.'s involvement in any given game. There's nothing wrong with that. Rather than play a game yourself and come to conclusions, or even reading a review by someone you trust, we have reached the point where we decide which games to play based on which narrative consultancy firm was attached to give the script a polish. It's not normal to care about these things so deeply. Okay, let's there's a lot to unpack here. Let's do some unpacking. Okay, first of all, rather than play a game yourself and come to conclusions. So here's the problem with that. Okay? Are you suggesting that people pay for something and then try it? Because by that time you've already made your sales. And how does the developer benefit from that? Because like Suicide Squad sold copies. There were refunds issued. But you guys didn't like that either. You complained about people buying something and then refunding it. So you don't really believe in this. And again, why would I go through the trouble of paying for something that I might not like just because it's the only way I can validate my opinion on it? Because that's what you're saying. It's like, you know what it's like? It's like if people say, "Hey Brian, are you going to watch like the Rise of Skywalker or The Last Jedi or whatever the hell it's called?" And I say, "No, I'm not watching that. I know it's crap. I don't want to watch it." And they would say, well, how do you know if you don't watch it? Well, if I watch it, I give them my money. I mean, I could watch it for nothing, but then I lose time. Why would I do that? Like, it's still my choice, right? So they want you to spend money on something you don't want. Otherwise, you're not allowed to have an opinion on it, because that's kind of what it is. You can't conclude anything if you never played it. Yes, I can. I can conclude. I can do whatever I want. I'm not hurting anybody. Okay, and then it says, or even reading a review by someone you trust. Okay, so that's also not true. Number one, most people who do reviews think like you. Even like the supposed like people who are for the gamers, like Actman or Angry Joe, right? And we've seen that. We've seen that. So maybe we don't trust them. Maybe we only trust word of mouth. Maybe we know enough about these consultancy firms that we can make a decision. Be like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm going to save my money. Hey, the economy's terrible. The government you guys voted for are printing dollars left and right and giving most of our taxpayer dollars to like Ukraine and Israel and shit. So why would I spend I don't have a lot of money. So welcome to the conditions of the economy that you've created. Hello. Sorry. So no, I mean, who do I, and look, and if I got a review from someone I did trust, like a friend or word of mouth, you would say that doesn't count because that's what Sweet Baby Inc. is. I mean, Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, rather. And then it says, we have reached the point where we decide which games to play based on which narrative consultancy firm was attached to give the script a polish. So that's bullshit, because what they're saying is, oh no, all they did was go in and like, it's like you go to a car wash and you get your car cleaned inside and out, and and what they're saying is you're complaining about the guy who comes in with the towels and wipes you down after you come out the other end of the car wash. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not that. The problem is that if the developers are using Sweet Baby Inc., and we already went through a video, like not a video, but like my last video, I talked about how the ESG grift works and how it is a product of a financial crisis. It's where it comes in. It's how these companies like BlackRock and other large investment firms that are tied to banks, which is another rabbit hole. I don't know if you guys are ready to go down just yet, but the ways that those things are connected and how these people get like what is called cheap money in order to continue to stay in business. When really all you got to do, so here's a piece of advice, AAA developers, is lower your budgets and have a small focused team. You know, like when Blizzard was at its peak, which was before Overwatch, they had a saying, right? It'll be ready when it's done. And nobody complained. Sometimes you had to wait a while to get your game. You had a small team of people, men, and they were really good at working together and producing a product that they were happy with. And for a while, Blizzard could basically do no wrong until Activision bought them and the Me Too movement destroyed that company. And I could get into that another time if you're interested. I will let you know. But the Me Too movement was used to change the staff at Blizzard. And this kind of tactic is kind of how Sweet Baby Inc. got funded to exist to begin with, which is another rabbit hole we could get into another time. So anyway, this is not just a consultancy firm attached to give the script a polish. And then lastly, it says it's not normal to care about these things so deeply. Another thing, this is concern trolling. They're saying, oh my God, like you're so obsessed. Why are you so obsessed? Meanwhile, they're writing full-on articles. They are losing their shit. They're trying to get groups taken down. They're trying to cancel Cabrutus. They're trying to take away all of his Steam games that he spent his hard-earned Brazilian dollars on. I don't know what the Brazilian currency is called, which is really expensive. And they're calling us obsessive. Keeping in mind that all these firms do is make suggestions. They keep lying. Like, we know what you're doing. You're not. You're basically shaking people down. It's a leap to claim that they are the reason for anything in the game at all. Wow, now they're really, really trying hard. This is a reach. We're not doing anything. If a dev does not like their suggestions, they can easily be rejected. Sweet Baby Inc. has been deemed a scapegoat, and a lot of the criticism aimed at the firm is around diversity in general. Because Sweet Baby Inc. does work on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, it was claimed, then immediately disproven, that Saga Anderson in Alan Wake 2 was a white woman until Sweet Baby Inc. arrived on the scene. When you resort so quickly to falsehoods, your anger is probably misplaced and unfounded. So they're basically trying to call us bigots again. And from what I understand, there is evidence that shows that Saga Anderson was a white woman before this came. I think there was some receipts that somebody put out. I'm sorry I haven't looked into it much because I'm only barely aware of Alan Wake 2 because I heard it was shit. So, you know. By the way, Alan Wake 2 is a good example from what I've heard about what I hate about modern games is that they're basically just movies. They're just experiences now. And wokeness is a big part of this because when you play a video game, you have individual agency over your actions, right? You can decide what you do in the game. That is what makes video games not movies. And they're trying to make them more movies because they can't give you a lesson in progressive far left communist ideology if you can control your actions. So they want more games to be more like movies. And it will make the games way more expensive, which means more DEI investing and more stakeholder capitalism. And for more of that, look at my video, Stakeholder Capitalism versus Shareholder Capitalism, because it's a very, very, very crucial distinction. Okay. While I have reservations from over the growing use of narrative consultants and the implicit devaluation of in-house writing accordingly, because I want to be a writer and I don't want people meddling with my stuff, but we're okay with meddling with your stuff. If you are annoyed that a game has people of color in it, then you aren't annoyed at a narrative consultancy firm at all. So there you go, right? It's because you're a racist. It feels like Sweet Baby Inc. is just the latest dog whistle for rejecting progressive ideas, or in the case of black people existing, just rejecting reality. All right. I'm gonna stop that there. Um, they're trying to make a claim that Baldur's Gate was more progressive than Suicide Squad. I would agree that it is in a lot of ways. There's definitely a lot of but Baldur's Gate 3 is a really good game, but I don't like all the horny shit going on in it. I think it's really boring and eye rolly, and I don't like the kind of modern language in the game. And what I don't mean that. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a modern attitude. Like, it doesn't feel like a fantasy game when the characters talk, other than they have accents, and that bothers me as well. But one of the things about Baldur's Gate 3 is that you can choose your actions. You can just kill all the characters that annoy you, which I have done. So this is the difference. In a really woke game, they would not allow you to do it. Not without you stopping the game for 15 minutes while you listen to a slam poem by the woke non-binary female half elf half tiefling character, about how hard it is to be a half elf half tiefling non-binary woman in gaming and in Baldur's Gate, I guess. So there is a difference, but I agree to a degree. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's a really cringy article. I don't think I can make it. It goes on and on too forever. It's fine. This is crap. That's all I will say. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And I think that the main takeaway is, because obviously these people always lie. They always project. Whatever they tell you you're doing is what they're doing. Whatever they tell you that you are is what they are. Because they're narcissists. So if the only thing they ever see is the mirror, then the things they love about themselves are themselves, and the things that they hate about everybody else are also themselves. So that's what I think about that. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Thanks so much for coming on. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and comment. And hopefully I will get to 500 subs. And if I do, I will create a membership or a Discord server or something so that we can share all the information as we get it, and I can continue to make content. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Long live Vivian.